Welcome to Fins Talk today on the Fins Talk Sports Network. I'm your host, Bobby Melendez, joined, as always, by Fish Tank Hank, who's in Florida, in Orlando. And then, of course, we have a guest, Evan Posner. Evan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, guys. Happy to be in Florida, just 20 minutes away from our favorite stadium.
Very
Hey, cool.
glad to have you, Evan. 20 minutes,
Pleasure.
You can't beat that, huh?
No.
And then, Hank, you're in Florida, Orlando, Florida. How you liking it so far?
Oh, man. You know what I do? Every day I go out and I find a new place to eat. That's the first part of it. Then I come back to my condo and I go down to the pool for about an hour. That's my exercise. Then I go up to the condo and I take my nap. That's my after exercise rest and stretch. Then I go down to the pool and just chill out by it and have some drinks.
There you go. There you go.
That's
You're living the
how it's
highlight.
been going in Orlando, okay?
There you go. There you go. And then next week you're going down to Miami Lakes. You're going to go tour the facilities, right?
Yes, I am going to go tour the training facility. They sent me a thing so that I could take a tour. It's like an hour tour, and I'm going to go take advantage of that.
Good for you.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, look, hey, we're about 1 week away from the start of preseason. The Dolphins versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love this. You know, somebody on Twitter with everything that happened this week with the Dolphins and Brady and Ross or whatever, and they go, breaking news: Tom Brady will not play against the Dolphins in preseason week 1. No crap, no shit. You know, what are you talking about? What did you expect? You know, they weren't gonna. It's preseason, but they want to make a big deal out of nothing. But Evan, my brother,
let me say hi to some people out there. Hey, what's going on, Steve? Like having
What's up,
you with
Steve?
us. You too, Raph.
Rafi boy, what's up, Steve? Yeah. Always happy to see you guys. And of course, good morning if you're watching on the West Coast. Good morning if you're watching Central Time, and of course, good afternoon if you're on the East Coast, like these gentlemen.
Yay!
So, a lot training camp is hot heavy right now. A lot going on. The Dolphins play in 1 week, first game of the preseason against the Buccaneers. Obviously, we don't expect Tua or Tyreek or none of those guys to play. They probably play week 2. But there's a lot of other guys we really want to see. But first off, Evan, you've been there, man. You were just attended a camp yesterday. You got to meet a certain star player, a brand new star player. So first off, tell us about your experience at Dolphins training camp yesterday. And then tell me who you saw. Tell me guys who impressed you.
Okay, great. So I got to take my twin boys yesterday. They become massive Dolphin fans. While I've been here, I've been decking my entire family with Dolphins gear. They got to meet TD yesterday. It was really about the kids yesterday, and they do a lot for the community of the Dolphins, so it was nice to see. I made a joke on Twitter yesterday that they started practice late, so I hope that's not a sign for the season. But once practice started, it was a fine-tuned machine. It was really well run. One thing that was really interesting that I noticed, which was actually keeping the crowd riled up, is Van Ginkel wore the orange jersey. And because there was a break, no one knew who was going to have it. But I think his playlist was phenomenal yesterday. Like, he really had a real mix, because I see people talking about on Twitter when Tua had his music going, or Tyreek Hill had his music, people were okay, whatever. He had a real mix of Bon Jovi and Ozzy Osbourne, and people were really getting into it. And he had a really good time with it, because I know people get nervous about it. But honestly, it was a real well-oiled machine in terms of the fact that because there's 2 massive fields, they really focused on the 11-on-11s and got to really focus on the key drills. So you got real close-ups when you were sitting in the stands. I really got to focus really on the defense, and what caught my eye right away was our D-line. If we have any sense of what's wrong with our D-line, there is nothing wrong with our D-line. Christian Wilkins right away looked like an absolute monster. And I said to someone next to me, watch tomorrow during practice, he'll be wearing that orange jersey. And lo and behold, who's wearing the orange jersey this morning? Christian Wilkins. Agba looked like he came totally into his own. A player you mentioned a while back, Porter Gostin, was interesting yesterday because they keep on moving him around. But the team the defense looked really, really, really strong.
How did the linebackers look?
The linebackers looked okay. Roberts looks okay, and Tyndall had a few nice plays. I think he looks sharp. But no, the beast of that defense, who really had the signing Ingram, I think he's going to give us 400 snaps. He's not going to play 600 snaps, but he's going to give you 25 key snaps next. But the guy's a beast. Honestly, that signing, we tried him in 2019. Thank God we got him now. Watch what he's going to do this year.
Really?
He
So,
looks
awesome.
Melvin Ingram.
Melvin Ingram.
Really standing
He's
out.
crushing it at camp.
Very cool.
And then on the
that.
offensive, and then on the offensive line, because I'll get to the offense in a little bit. On the offensive line, what I noticed was it was Tron Armstead's actually full real practice, and he really looked like the offensive line looked very different. And the movement, that's what I got to see for the first time. You don't really get to see it in practice, like on videos, but the movement of that offensive line in unison is a pleasure to see. Like we used to see how the offensive line just used to get pushed back and crushed. They literally are moving in a direction. Like Chase Edmonds had running room for days. He went for a beautiful run yesterday, and you really see that mix, and you can already see that running game is going to have a phenomenal year just with the movement. But you also had that sense of the offensive line had a better day yesterday in terms of movement, just because Teron Armstead was there. Like you felt that. You could actually see how they were moving. The number one problem, which I'm going to tell you right now, which I don't want to forget because I'll probably go afterwards, they need to go. They better figure this out this week, or they better go center hunting. Tua must have had, because Tua's not Justin Herbert size. He's not a Josh Allen size. Connor Williams, and I don't know who was there yesterday. I forget who was there as the backup. I think Tua, over the amount of time that Tua went like this to get a snap, it was like every other play. They cannot snap the ball properly. Like it's cringeworthy. Like how many fumbles they might have during a game, because in the game it's so much faster. So that's my number one concern. Is the center position is very worrisome for me in terms of snapping that ball. Not in terms of movement to the run game or blocking. My number one concern is the snapping. It really was awful yesterday. Overall, in terms of wide receivers, everyone looked decent. The best. I feel like Tyreek Hill's doing what he's doing. Waddle had a quiet day yesterday, but Mohamed Sanu made a beautiful play yesterday. He looks strong, and I'm telling you right now, if our top three is Hill, Waddle, Wilson, it's Sanu number 4. And maybe Sanders number 5. I didn't see much of Lynn Bowden yesterday. Not a fan of Preston Williams from what I saw yesterday. So I'm very, very focused on Sanu's going to be a really key veteran on the team. The guy looks ripped and looks really, really strong. And then Xavier Howard looked like, honestly, I've never seen a guy so close to a player every single time. The man you could see how he wasn't even trying, and he was staying on people yesterday. It was just really, really good to see. It was actually nice to see the kicking game. And Sanders, who was literally kicking it from 60 yards without a problem yesterday. So it was nice just to really see that mix. But the one thing that was interesting, I don't know if you guys have noticed this on Twitter. You know what position you've yet to see, and yesterday you never saw it? They haven't done any tight end focus. I think Gesicki didn't catch one ball yesterday. I did not see Durham Smythe catch a ball. Gesicki, they were playing toss with the quarterbacks, but there was no focus yet on the tight ends. So I don't know if there's a plan for that this week, but there's been almost little to no focus yesterday on. That's the one thing I noticed leaving. Where was Gesicki most of the practice? So unless they plan on using him as a run blocker, which we don't know about, because you and I have talked about this a long time ago, Bobby, that he's not a run blocker. What are this plan for him? Or unless they're sneaking it in this week, or they're waiting for the Buccaneers practice, there's been little focus on tight end movement. I have hardly saw it yesterday. Hardly saw it.
Very interesting. So what stood out to me, obviously, first off, Melvin Ingram, Hank. We discussed him on our show a while back when he got signed, rotational piece we expect. But I love hearing that. And then the wide receiver spot. I have been reading a lot. First off, Sanu obviously is standing out. And now that just validates it that you saw that he's standing out. I mean, his first practice, he caught a long touchdown. And then, but now yesterday you're saying the way you saw it. And Braylon Sanders, the rookie undrafted free agent, and so people like Preston Williams, who was a piece of Miami's offense, especially for Tua when he was healthy. Preston Williams, when he was healthy, he was a big piece for Tua, because when Tua was in trouble, he could just throw that ball up and he could come down. He's a big time wide receiver, but he's begging for opportunities, and it looks like he's not even going to get a chance. He's probably going to be one of the first cuts of this team, or maybe even traded, possibly, if Miami can try to get someone.
One of the first pickups too.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So Hank, man, so what do you hear from him, from Evan, man, that's standing out to you? What gets you most excited?
Oh, you saw me get all excited when he mentioned the linebackers. Of course, sir. That's my curious spot. And if Melvin Ingram's making that kind of an impact, and you know, our linebackers aren't piss poor people. Okay, let's start with that. They're not total garbage. All right, but Melvin Ingram is a definite upgrade. And after listening to Evan, you know, it sounds like he's working out great. I'm excited about Sanu. I used to watch him all the time, and there's just a lot of exciting things going on that Evan just pointed out. I'm excited to go down there and check out the facility. I have never been to Hard Rock. This is going to be my first time visit ever. So, and that'll be on the 12th, and then I'll do a training facility tour.
It's the one thing that Stephen Ross has done right. The man, then we'll talk about that later, but at least he knows how to do real estate. He knows how to build.
Yeah, no, you're right. You know, you give credit where it's due. But let me say, the one thing, though, that still sticks out to me, though, if I want to look at a negative, is offensive line. Even though yesterday I did see Austin Jackson, who I saw trip up in one play on one. And then yesterday I saw him pancake Jalen Phillips on a tape, which was very exciting. He pushed Phillips all the way back and dropped his ass. And let me tell you, that's exciting. And I love Phillips. I think Phillips in for a big year this year with that defense. However, to see Austin Jackson do that to that type of player, that was good to see. However, offensive line is still the question going into this season as it was last year.
And they'll pass 20 years.
Yeah, Austin Jackson, the question mark, you know, and then you go Connor Williams at center, and of course the health of Terran Armstead, but center Connor Williams. Applebaum recently stated that Connor Williams was doing great, but I've been hearing different things. Now I hear from Evan that there's a lot of high snaps.
Very high snaps.
So, guys, that has to be a huge – as excited as everybody is as Dolphin fans, no matter where you stand on the quarterback or the coach or whatever, as excited as Dolphin fans are, there has to be major concern with this offensive line, because if this offensive line is still what it was and coaching doesn't make that difference, this is going to be a problem. No?
The only problem it's going to be is if they continue like this, they better be basically running the ball where Tua and Bridgewater have their hands up his caboose. Because if we're waiting on shotgun, we're in big trouble. Honestly,
yeah.
It was very worrisome. We don't have a 6'6" quarterback. We have a quarterback that's maybe 6 feet. And honestly, I couldn't believe, like, at one point, like, during regular practice, but the moment it was 11-on-11 scrimmage, it was like the ball could not stay. It was hitting Tua basically in the face, and he was doing an amazing job catching it. But we knew last year they had 2.5 seconds to snap the ball and shoot it. You're wasting half a second if he has to catch the ball and drop it and then figure out where he's going. So that's my number one fear, is there still seems to be an inconsistency with that. So it was sort of like last year. Remember, I've written in the comments many times on the kicking game. The one reason I was happy about Morstead was getting a veteran to play with Sanders, who can catch the ball and hold the ball properly, because we missed so many field goals last year, the Jacksonville game and all these other games. You need to snapping the ball is so critical. And if you don't have the person who's able to do that and run that offensive line, you're in trouble. That's why I've been saying the Treader train. You don't have to be Treader, but get a veteran center, because if you want Tua to succeed, give him the ball. But if he's worrying about the ball might go over his head, or he might not be able to catch it properly because the person's not so good at it, like, I'm more worried about the center position than I am at Austin Jackson or right tackle or Eichenberg at left guard. I'm less concerned about that. I'm worried about the snap.
Wow. That's a surprise to me that you say that.
Yeah, I'm worried about
more
the snap.
concerned about the center.
I was not happy yesterday. That was my number one fear, the snapping of the ball. It was
I
really
hope they
worrisome.
get it together then, Evan, because
yeah.
My concerns are already Eichenberg and Jackson, and you say that he's a bigger trouble than those two. I'm really concerned.
And snapping the ball. Yeah, it was only just him. It was across the board. So they need to get a veteran center, or they better figure out a magic potion this week. But what I saw yesterday is like Tua did a good. I think Tua yesterday did not have his great practice day. From what I've read on Twitter this morning, they're doing some amazing things, which we'll talk about after. They're doing the competitions today, throwing the ball into this massive basket 45 yards, and the team is riling them up, and they're all having a great time. But yesterday, he wasn't as accurate as he should have been. None of the quarterbacks were phenomenal yesterday. The running game was stronger than the quarterback play yesterday, I found. But No, the snapping was a big problem yesterday. I could tell.
Tell us a little bit about how the offensive line was moving and how the running backs were doing, Evan.
Oh, Edmonds looks like a well-oiled machine. Honestly, Mostert's speed, but Edmonds had this beautiful play moving along with the zone blocking. But that I'm not worried about. Like on the running game, that is something I'm very positive about, very confident about. You could see that McDaniel's really putting his stamp on those players. And one thing that you guys have both talked about, which I've learned from you guys since I've been involved with the podcast, is that Austin Jackson's very athletic. And we do have a very athletic offensive line. Hunt can move for a big guy. So for them to be able to move in unison the way that they were with the running game was doing a very, very good job. The only thing that was interesting yesterday, which I never realized because you don't really pay attention to practice, is they have zebras there. They have referees going on there when they're doing the scrimmages. And there was a lot of flags thrown. There was quite a bit of offsides on both sides of the ball. So I think they're working on that because I think they're just trying to get their timing right. But like I said, for me, the running game is not a problem. The movement of the offensive line is not a problem. My number one problem is the snapping of the center and the lack of visuals on Smythe, Shaheen, and Gesicki. I don't even know where Hunter Long is. I have no idea if he was even on the field yesterday. But Gesicki, I always saw him was tossing a ball. I never saw it. Not one throw went to a tight end yesterday. Not one.
So, man, offensive line remains the question mark. But again, here's the silver lining, and I've been talking about silver linings a lot. The silver, because of what happened with Ross and all this whatnot, but the silver lining of the struggles of the offensive line is early in the preseason training camp situation, where by the time season starts, hopefully they kind of limit that down, because flags do concern me, because Connor Williams was the most penalized guard last year, and that's why he was benched at one point. People don't like to talk about that, but he was pulled from the Cowboys starting unit just because of that, even though he was the 11th best guard in football. But right now he's playing center for the Dolphins, and he's high snaps, as Evan is pointing out. So that's a concern. But hopefully McDaniel and company could get that right, because Applebaum has spoke highly of Connor Williams. Now, I did hear, and that Evan has just related, is that Chase Edmonds is having a pretty damn good camp, and he had a good day yesterday. I think he broke someone's ankles, not literally, but
65 yards. Oh, he looked great yesterday. He got
so. First off, Hammer Time, thank you for tuning in. Tammy from Miami, that's my madre, everybody, throw that out there. But she's up on here saying we should have a training tailgate for the Fins Talk Sports Network. And then Bobby, you've camped out there in that lot. Yes, I have camped outside of Hard Rock Stadium when it was pro player back in the day when I was in the Boy Scouts. That is true. But okay, so very exciting to hear. I love what I hear about the linebackers, especially Melvin Ingram, because that's Channing Tindall. He's a rookie. We don't want to put too much pressure on the rookie. But hearing a veteran like Melvin Ingram with those Van Ginkel, who had the orange jersey, and then Jalen Phillips, Tindall, it's good to have, first off, that type of veteran, a Pro Bowl guy, a former Pro Bowl player, to play alongside those younger
Ogba
guys.
woke up. Ogba, I know I was reading during the week that Ogba was a little quiet at the beginning. Man's a monster. I wrote it right away. So
what you're telling me, though, I know everybody wants to hype up the offense, but that's a wait and see. But what you're saying is we are justified in hyping up that defense.
That
defensive line.
The D line is great. The linebackers with Ingram. If Ingram wasn't there, I'd be terrified of the linebackers. They need that. That's the one thing I'm appreciating about each section, is that you don't have to worry about the secondary of Holland, who's going to be an all-pro. The guy looks phenomenal. The guy can move anywhere. I've never seen a guy move the way he moves. Howard looks like he's just pacing himself. You have a veteran in Ingram. You have Wilkins, who's going to have a breakout year. Ogba looks strong. Phillips is going to have a great second year. And like I said, the offensive line, the reason I'm comfortable is that I think now things will get better with Armstead there. I'm saying the offensive line will be, I think, okay on a running game level, on a movement level, on a zone blocking level. My fear is the snaps and the time to get it to Tua, or to Bridgewater. But the D-line is going to be amazing. Getting to that quarterback, Zach Wilson is going to be – they're going to be running backwards. They're going to be running backwards.
So let me ask you. You brought up Teddy Bridgewater. So let's talk a little bit about the quarterbacks, because we're about to get into Tua right now and how he's addressing his critics and everything, which is great in my opinion. However, Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson. I've been hearing a lot of good things on Skylar Thompson. I have. He had, I think, 68 some odd throws without an interception, and I saw one dime to Tyreek Hill. I mean, it was a beautiful throw. So, man, so what did you see from Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson?
Teddy Bridgewater seemed ordinary yesterday. Like him and Tua, I think had a little bit of struggles yesterday because I think it was a little more focused on the running game, and I feel like the secondary and the defense were the positives yesterday. Like I said, and there was more focus. I think they focused more on the running game yesterday because it was Armstead's first main physical practice with pads on. But Thompson looks big and strong. Like he looks like a quarterback. Bridgewater looked okay. Like he looked okay. Like he's much better than what Brissett is. He's the best backup we've had in a very, very long time. I think he's going to be serviceable. But like I said, Tua yesterday, and you know how I feel about Tua as a quarterback and what my thoughts are on him. He looked ordinary yesterday. He wasn't. I don't know if necessarily he was the focus. He made some nice plays. Like I said, he threw the ball to Sanu. He made a good play on there. He was handing the ball off well. I think my number one focus yesterday, when I got to give props to all the quarterbacks, is their maintenance of the snaps. That was my main focus at one point. It was less about the throws, because one thing that I do more than anything when I'm watching them is I actually, when they're doing these 11-11 on scrimmages, I actually don't watch as much the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. I'm watching the line. I'm watching how fast are they getting to the quarterback and how well the offensive line is pushing back on the defense, because everything else will catch the ball. But my number one thing is, are we going to get to the quarterback? Are we going to be able to protect the quarterback? And does the quarterback have enough time to throw the ball? And I felt yesterday the defense had a stronger day because they did not have as much time to get the ball out unless they were running the ball.
So Teddy Bridgewater looked ordinary.
Okay.
Teddy Bridgewater
ordinary
too as well.
Because
but Skylar Thompson is what you're saying. What I've been hearing is true. This guy is looking pretty damn good.
He'll be our backup next. If Tua has the year that me and Hank predict he will, Bridgewater's a one-year quarterback. Thompson's the backup next year. No question.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept three quarterbacks. What do you guys think?
They're going to keep three.
I would see it, yeah.
I see them keeping three. Because I think there might be some gimmick plays. I don't necessarily see – they used to do that with Brissett. I think they might use Skylar Thompson on gimmick plays. He's lanky. He's bigger than the other two.
It's interesting to see how they play. That's what I'm looking forward to next week is Skylar Thompson playing quarterback. I want to see how he does. I want to see how he does in live action. Let's stay on quarterback. Let's talk about Tua. Now, I know, first off, you just brought it up. He was ordinary yesterday, even though we love him and all this whatnot. But people can overreact to training camp. They can overreact to practice, whether it's shorts and shirts, pads with your other team and all this whatnot. But what no one's going to doubt is that right now Tua is in prime position to have a skyrocket type season because of the weapons and the what's built around the supporting cast. That includes the head coach and offensive coach, that Bevel, that's the quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator Frank Smith. Then, of course, Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, who's having a good camp, Jalen Waddle, Kasicki, running game, and then Terran Armstead and Connor Williams, even though offensive line is not that much different. So there's a lot of high expectations. There's a lot of believers saying, oh, see, now I'm going to be proven right. This is it. Tua is going to be the guy we've been pushing for. And then there's other guys going, wait and see, because they just haven't said it from the beginning. So,
and then you got me.
Yeah.
Then you've got me, the realist.
You better take a breath, man, because I can smell that shit coming out. You talking? That's some bullshit. I'm just messing with you. All right, so Hank, I'm going to start with you and then Evan. But this is one thing you can't deny. I mean, Hank and Ivan, you can obviously test this because you've been watching the show, the network, all this, and you know all my points. You say, Bobby, you said this and whatever. So because you do it usually. So, but. he usually goes, no, Bob, you said this. I'm like, I did say that. But one thing I've been saying since last year, when Tua was struggling, when I called for Flores and Greer to both get fired, when we were on that losing streak, Hank on Finn's Talk today, I was talking about the type of quarterback we need. And that was, and I'll say it like this, just to kind of keep the curse in we needed an a-hole at quarterback. We needed somebody who believed in themselves and didn't give a damn what anybody else said. Exactly. We didn't need someone to pat him on the back or whatever. He pats himself on the back and goes from there. That's why I said when we were throwing names out there for potential quarterbacks, and you're like, wait, but we were throwing names, and I said, man, somebody like Aaron Rodgers, and we even said Brady, someone who's an a-hole. Dan Marino was an a-hole, and the best quarterback in Dolphins history. He was, but he was, he would yell at his guys on the field, but they respected him. One of the best ever. But
they responded,
and they responded. And I was saying, we need that. and not saying that Tua has gone there, but where Tua has gone is that he's not being all that Mr. Humble anymore. He's not being Mr. Nice Guy, and whether that translates on the field is a different story. But, not only did we get a supporting cast and again, I said this when the whole Stephen Ross thing came out, and because even somebody who's a critic of Tua, somebody says a troll, and Jeremy Clump, who was a guest on Overtime at one point, he has even came out and said, and I agree with him, and my point was this, and I've been saying this, no matter if you, quote unquote, believe Tua could be that franchise quarterback or whether you don't, I think everyone could agree that the Dolphins, since drafting Tua, have not done him any favors. They have not been what they should have been for their franchise quarterback. No matter what
the past 2 years, no.
Trying to go get Deshaun Watson, trying to go get Brady, put Fitzpatrick in and taking him out, not giving him the weapons he needs, not protecting him when he's on the field, not giving him the confidence that he needs or whatever. You've done all that. Despite what anybody believes what Tua can be, you can all agree that Tua has not had that support, right? It's been a freaking mess, and it's really amplified since the Stephen Ross thing was validated. So finally, whether it was McDaniel saying, hey, dude, cut the crap, let him know how you feel, or if it was Nick Hitz who gave him that confidence during the offseason or whatever, because Tua looks bigger, he looks stronger. But the biggest difference to me, I don't care what weapons he has on the field, of course, coaching staff, is the way he's holding himself or coming at his critics. Salty Tua. That's what we're labeling him, right? Salty Tua. I mean, he's calling them out. He's talking about the way he's been throwing. He said, I don't give a damn about those people. I don't hear them, which we know he does. He hears everything. But he's saying, you guys, that's not important to me. Look on the field. Blah, blah. I just love what I'm seeing from him. I think that's that extra juice that might help push him. Because not only does he have the coach, the offensive weapons, offensive line is still a question mark. That was not solved. We'll see. That's a wait and see, guys. But coach, weapons, the support system. But now, Salty Tua. He might have that a-hole in him now. So, Hank, I'm going to start with you, brother. Do you like what you're seeing right now from Tua as salt and being salty coming at Chris? Are you rather him and show it on the field? Show it on the field. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think at this point in time, he needs to do a little bit of both. Because you know what? People have done all the talking. He's just sat back and let them talk so far. So he's got the right to come up and have his say at this point in time, in my opinion. Now, like I said, I'm the realist. I don't believe Tua is the best quarterback in the world and all that other stuff. I'm not on the super hype train, and I'm also not on the negative train. I'm right in the middle. I'm waiting to see what this kid can do with the real support is what I've been waiting for. Like you mentioned, Bobby, like you just spent 2-3 minutes or so explaining how they didn't take care of this guy. Okay, me knowing that, I know this kid needs another year chance. And I think it's prove it or lose it. He's either going to prove that he can do it or he's going to lose the position and they'll draft and move on. So that's what I think about Tua. I love the fact that he's coming out to his critics finally and saying something. I mean, he even mentioned how rude people were bothering him during his wedding and everything else. So I like it. He's standing up for himself. He is the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. There is definitive facts stating and showing he is going to be the quarterback. There's nobody, he's not looking over his shoulder waiting anymore. That's gone. Yeah. So the question is, how's Salty Tua gonna perform? Does he have the right to speak up? He has the right to speak up. Not gameplay yet. But as far as personal achievements and abilities, he's got every right to have his say.
Perfect. Evan, I put that comment up. And Steve, Michael, Steve Hammertime, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, Fins Talk Network. We're all excited to have you. Evan, I put Steve's comment on there. He said that TD, I assume he's talking about TD Fins Talk on his podcast, a show. He's saying that Tua looked horrible yesterday. You said he looked ordinary.
But my ordinary is TD's terrible. TD's, okay, what are we talking about here? Like we've had this conversation. I've been on your show and I've commented. Ordinary is he wasn't throwing interceptions. He looked ordinary. It was for a practice. And like I said, for my opinion, yesterday the more focus was on the running game and getting Armstead strong and on the defense than it was on Tua. They all looked ordinary yesterday. The focus was not deep balls.
Let me say this, and I've said this before though, is that I'm not expecting him to have everybody can
No,
say
he's a game manager.
Thank you. That's what I was going. I'm not everybody's saying 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, they're going there. They want to get too excited. To me, the best thing he can do this season. There it is. The best thing he can do this season is, like you said, protect the football. No turnovers. Get the ball to your guy. I'm not expecting 5,000, 4,800 yards, none of that. I want to see protecting football. Don't cost the team games and being consistent. Game manager. Like I've said, and I've said Hank, and obviously Evan, I'm going to say, why am I saying Hank? Because I know you watch the show and you always remind me of things I've said. But when I compare him, everybody wants to say Russell Wilson. Oh, Hank, at every show I'm doing. Every probably going, Bobby, remember you said this? I'm like, all right, dude. Yeah. I appreciate it. But Chad Pennington is the quarterback I've compared him to, or that I would say is right now where I want him to be. Not Russell Wilson, not anybody else. And somebody said,
but if you say that it's Chad Pennington, Chad Pennington wasn't all that bad.
No, he was not. No, he wasn't.
So if you're comparing Tua right now to that, I'll take it. I'll take that.
Yeah, 100%. If he could be what Chad Pennington was, protecting the football, getting it to the guys, not costing games, I think that the Dolphins could be a playoff football team. But again, offensive line is key here. Consistency is key, but offensive line is a huge deal. What's up, Hank?
So's his consistency, like you said, his accuracy.
Yes, sir.
I have more faith in his accuracy than most other things that a quarterback trait has. That's what I'm banking on from Tua, to be accurate to the running backs out of the backfield, to be accurate to the guy streaking over the middle, to be accurate going down the field. That's what I want to see. That high percentage that he was throwing last year, I want to see that this year with this team and all the talent around him. Oh, we'll be doing just fine.
And they just recently, someone posted videos. He made a beautiful play that he threaded the needle on Waddle today for a 65-yard touchdown that he just threw it 20 yards down the field. Right, the tight spots that he's hitting during training camp, like those are the critical ones. The thing for Tua is you give him about 3.5 seconds, get the ball out. The moment he has to start improvising, that's where he gets nervous. That's where he makes mistakes. That's where he looked ordinary yesterday. But if it was quick slants, quick throws, a player got open, or he trusted his first gut, he's money. He was fine. It's more the second guessing, or like I said, he's also playing against a very good defense. Like when you're trying to get the ball to a Hill or Waddle and they're being protected by Howard, you're going after a ball hawk. You have to be careful, right? You don't want to.
Hey, that's another one. That's what people don't realize too, is who he's playing against this offseason. We're talking about who he's playing with, but think about the defense he's facing, especially that secondary. Javon Holland, Xavier Howard. That's somebody said that who he's been playing with is Javon Holland. I mean, those are some of the top, and I think Javon Holland, like Jalen Phillips, and there's always good and bad, right? Everybody wants to talk about the good draft picks, but there are bad draft picks in Chris Greer, but you cannot take away the picks of Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips. I mean, those were home runs.
But you're not going to believe this. I would have actually, now when you look back, if I redid the draft, of all three players, if I had a choice of one for our team, as it stands right now, it's Holland. I've never seen a guy play. We had our last All-Pro, or our last top player in that position was Rashard Jones. Rashard Jones could not do what Javon Holland is. The man can play center. He can play corner. He can play slot. Like, that's the one thing that fears Tua, I think, against this defense during practice, and even Bridgewater and stuff, is you have no idea where Holland's going. The defense is going to be scared. Like, when you're Mac Jones or that, you have no idea. Holland's going to come out of nowhere.
I was so excited. I'm very excited about both those guys. Stevie TV, man, I see you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. He says Tua is going to be a top 12 quarterback this year right now. I have him at 17. Stevie TV also says Javon Holland already is a top safety, top 5. And then Melvin Ingram is looking like a steal pickup. You're absolutely right. That's what Evan has been talking about. Guys, so let's talk about now what the breaking news was this week. And I've talked a little bit about it already. I had a breaking news episode very quick about it. But Stephen Ross, the Flores lawsuit accused Stephen Ross of tampering. They were saying a quarterback on a boat. We thought it was Deshaun Watson at first. Hank ended up being Tom Brady. Then it got leaked. Oh no, yeah, they've been really talking with Brady. And a lot of people. There were a few people saying, "Oh, that's not true. It's all rumors." But this validates it. So the Dolphins did not lose draft picks. Did not get in trouble or fined for trying to lose football games. They said that was the Dolphins did not try to do that and did not insist on their coach to do that. But the Dolphins did do, and I don't have it in front of me. I had the paper here with me before. But basically, paraphrasing, that the Dolphins they took away their 2023 first-round pick, which that was their actual first-round pick. They still have San Francisco's, and next year's third-round pick, the year following, the other draft. They penalized them for – yes, it is. Yes, it does. Because that's where Dolphins make some good picks is in the third round. In the second round, too. But they penalized them for, first off, in 2019, tampering with Tom Brady while he was still quarterback for the New England Patriots, which it's been proven now. The quarterback he said on that time, he was trying to sign with a team or whatever, and they said, "Oh, we're going to stick with our guy." Flores did not want him. And that's when it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. He wanted to stick with it. You're going to stick with that guy? Or he said another word, actually. But now we know he's talking about Fitzpatrick. Then the following year, or now, this past offseason, the Dolphins they tampered with Tom Brady while he's still with the Bucs as a team partner, owner, and executive, and possibly coming to play for Miami. And then also with New Orleans head coach Sean Payton while he was still still the Saints head coach. He hadn't resigned yet, retired. That's why they got penalized. That's why Ross has been fined and suspended. Bruce Beal, who is the owner in waiting, he first was involved. He was only involved at first with Tom Brady. Then Ross got involved the second time. So he's been suspended. He's not allowed to. He's okay to go to games. He's not okay to go to any team. Ownership meetings or anything like that. That's Bruce Beal. But Ross has been suspended until October and fined some change, basically. He's a couple $1 million, but that's Stephen Ross. So, Evan, since I went with Hank first with the Salty 2, I'm going to go with you, brother. What was your reaction to this, and what's your feeling on it?
My feelings is that I've always wondered, and I always compare another team. Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. What's he have doing the GM? An owner of a team has nothing to do with football. You are owning a team because you want to win Super Bowls, you want to make money. What are you doing trying to hurt your own team? And the worst part about all this is that you lost draft picks, you got fined, and you didn't get anything. So the worst part is everyone tampers. You do another show.
That's right.
You do the Goon Squad. There's more tampering in the NBA than any other sport, but no one ever gets fined. No one ever gets caught. The man is worth $8.5 billion, builds a beautiful stadium, builds a beautiful training complex. What's he doing getting involved in this? And the people I feel the worst for are Chris Greer, Marvin Allen, and Reggie McKenzie, because they didn't want Watson, Flores did. The Brady and the whole Peyton thing, that was Ross. They wanted to. They wanted to develop their team, and they never gave them that chance. For me, the $1.5 million, what is that to Ross? It's chump change. The draft picks are what hurts, because you would have had to given up those draft picks had you traded for Brady, had you gotten Peyton. So the fact that you didn't benefit from it is what really upsets me the most. And personally, for me, you can't necessarily force him to sell the team, Ross, but I would definitely reconsider the NFL letting Beal take over, because this is a sign of things to come. So, and Ross is part of my tribe, okay? I am Jewish. He's part of a philanthropist, wonderful guys, and a lot for my people of my religion and all that. But you want to know what? He's been an awful owner. He's not Huizinga. We didn't win with Huizinga, but Huizinga didn't get involved like this. And you don't.
Huizinga was a good owner, though. He was a good owner.
You don't hear this about the Heat owner. You don't hear about the Heat owners. You don't hear it about the Panthers owners. The only other disaster that honestly, I'm putting Stephen Ross, and this is a small connection for me. He's as bad as Jeffrey Lurie and David Sampson. I don't know if you know who those two people are. They're the former Montreal Expo owners who killed my team in Montreal and got them moved to Washington, and then were given the Marlins and for nothing, and then made $1 billion off of them and ran scot free.
So he's
in that range. That's what I think of Ross.
Has compared that to me. Me and Ms. Spence have had that conversation where it's Jeffrey Lurie.
Honestly, he's damaging his own team, his own product. by getting involved and not doing things the proper way. And the fact that he was involving himself with, like I said, me and Hank have talked about this. Is everyone going to have a party here? We have Brady. But why would you continually want to associate yourself with the New England Patriots? Like, why? Like, for me, that's like kryptonite. Like, I was not happy when we signed Flores because when we said originally, because anything that's Patriots doesn't succeed unless you're there. And everyone wants to talk about how the Patriots have won 7 Super Bowls, but they're the biggest cheaters in the world. The only difference with Belichick is he just doesn't get caught. So, but I think he was being made an example of. Honestly, I think he was made an example of. I think there's been such because of the lawsuit. I don't think this would have ever happened if Flores didn't sue. I think this would have been swept under the rug. They didn't want to admit about the tanking because if they admit about the tanking, the NFL would have had more egg on their face. So I think this was the alternative. But we all know, in theory, the team was trying to tank. You don't sign. The famous line that I always hear is, "You don't sign people on Tuesday and have them starting Sunday and expect not to tank." Right? We all knew that. They were signing people on Tuesday and starting them on Sunday. Like, well, the team's definitely trying to win when they sign players and put them on the practice field on Wednesday, have them starting teams on Sunday. Right? So I'm not a fan of his. Honestly, I would not be upset if they pulled a Donald Sterling on this and swipe the team from him. Honestly, he needs to stay in his box. If we win a Super Bowl, come down and get your trophy, but he should be banned from all football operations. He just doesn't engage. He's not a football guy. He just doesn't belong there. And honestly, he's hurt our team. And our team, he thought what was he trying to benefit from there? Because in the end, had we gotten Brady, he would have been caught. Like, what was he trying to do?
And I think too that and you say that, and it's true. You know, the one thing you can't say about him is that he does not want to win. He wants to win, but his problem is that he thinks that running a football team is like running a business. Where no, let the football guys run the football. He is a magnificent businessman. What he's done, you brought it up earlier. The stadium. I mean, the different events, the race car events, the soccer, all this. He's done great with Hard Rock. Hard Rock is beautiful. Garfunkel, and all those guys. You know, those guys have an A+ organization when it comes to that side. But touching the football side, it's been a disaster. Just focus on the business. Let the football guys handle the football part of it, and you might stay out of trouble. Hey, hearing what Evan said, man, do you have anything to add?
Well, you guys pretty much covered it all, except for me, Ross has done some screwed up things. I will admit with that. He doesn't belong in the football operations. He belongs being one of the owners that watches the football operations. You know, Jerry Jones does both. That doesn't mean that every owner can do both. And Stephen Ross can't do both. And when he tries to do something, he always trips over his own damn foot and knocks his head in the ground every time. It makes no sense, some of the things he's done. It really doesn't, especially at the point in time he was talking to Brady. Why? You should have waited. If that's really what you wanted, you should have waited.
It's a great point. And you know what? You just brought up another good point. And I want to, because, you know, people want to say Jerry Jones. He wants to be, first off, Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys is his passion. That's his passion. That's what, you know, he loves the team. He loves football. So he taught himself and he put himself out there and he won a Super Bowl after Jimmy Johnson. He went out and said, I'm going to prove it. And the team has been, despite not winning years now, he drafts a lot of damn good players. He knows what he's signing. Where Ross, again, to me, it's a hobby. He wanted to own a football team, and he likes to win in business, you know, and to him, but winning, like, look, he did it with Jim Harbaugh. He still had Tony Soprano. He went to try to go interview Harbaugh, got caught, and so what did he do? He extended Soprano and fired Soprano the year later, got caught with his pants down, and then, you know, it's been proven. Look, I know he wants to win. I'm not going to throw him totally under the bus. He's done great on the business side of it. I know his heart is where he wants to win, but it's not that type of win. It's win so he could say, hey, my team's won. It's not where Jerry Jones says, no, the Cowboys won. We busted our asses and we did this. We got the right guys. He loves each player. He knows every player. If we had a Jerry Jones owning the Dolphins would be a playoff team every year. If we had another type. Now, if you're Wayne Huizenga type, who's been the Dolphins always went to playoffs because he let his guys do it. And when they weren't performing, he got rid of them and he brought in new guys to do it, but he let them do it. Bill Parcells, the Wannstedt era, Jimmy Johnson, etc. You know, he did that. So if he wants to be a business guy like Huizenga, you let the guys do their job, you don't touch everything, then you do that. Or
But
if you're like Jerry Jones, then be like Jerry Jones. So, but it has to be someone who actually loves the team. Go ahead.
I
But
want to
also
just mention,
knows about football.
but I want to.
That
We
has
should
played
replay.
football.
That's true too. He did play football at Oklahoma.
You know,
We should
there's a
replay-
lot of things that Mr. Ross hasn't done. You know, I don't have anything against Mr. Ross. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to build the best team he can. He really is. But he's tripping all over himself trying to be part of it. Let somebody else do it.
No, but he actually said, this is what angered me the most about all this, is that when they fired Gase, they talked about how they're going to strip it down. And literally, and it was going to be a long process, and we're not going to do winning the offseason again, and we're not going to just go sign the Dominican Sue and Brendan Marshall and like, well, we're going to develop this team and give Chris Greer the chance to go through the draft, get draft picks, and develop. But not even a year later, he's so impatient. Let's go get Brady. Let's go get Peyton. Let's go. So he didn't even want to develop his team, because one thing I'm doing, we talk about football, but in Montreal right now, where we have a different sport, we're now going down to the studs with our hockey team and rebuilding it up. Because we don't want the Dolphins to be good for a year. I'm not going to be happy if we win a Super Bowl next year and then we suck for the next 20. I want to be good for the next 20 years. Like, so you get Brady. Okay, he's going to retire in a year, and then what? And then you gave up all those draft picks to then win a Super Bowl, so then you can give it to Beal, and then we're going to be.
Well, I don't.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. I think no. First off, I want to win a championship. I
Yes.
want to win a Super Bowl. Listen. I've experienced 3 NBA championships in my lifetime and 2 World Series with the Marlins. With a crappy owner and Jeffrey Loria. I've won 2 World Series as a Marlins fan, where I get to beat those pots and pans in Hialeah on that. Oh my gosh, my mother's gonna kill me for I was watching you put on there 76th Street. I forgot what it is. But man, you go in the middle of the night, you're hitting those pots and pans. You're celebrating 3 championships with D-Wade and Shaq. Then LeBron for 3 years with Chris Bosh and D-Wade. I've experienced that. One thing I've never experienced that I would get Tom Brady for is a Super Bowl. If I won as a Dolphins fan, when we win that Super Bowl, shake your head all you damn want, guy. You got 2 Super Bowls in your age. When in 1972, get me a Super Bowl. And let me tell you something. I don't think
I want a Super Bowl, but I don't want Brady. I don't care what you say. I don't want Brady under any circumstance.
You really don't want a Super Bowl.
No, but Bobby.
No, I don't want a Super Bowl that bad. I'd rather
means,
have a consistent team that shuts down people like Brady and cheaters and everything else.
Bobby wants.
I don't want
Bobby wants a 1-in-50. Bobby wants a 14-3 season, a Super Bowl, and then Cleo Lemon the next year. That's what he wants.
Oh, stop it! It would be Tua. Don't compare. See, I'm hard on Tua, but I don't compare him to Cleo Lemon. That's very rude. You do
Tua
better.
would be gone.
Do
Tua
better.
wouldn't stay. Tua would be traded. If Brady comes, Tua's gone.
He's on a cheap contract.
Bobby.
They wouldn't trade him.
Hey, Bobby.
I'm just saying. I'm all for winning a championship. I don't believe in
along,
that.
Bobby. What do we got next?
All right. So, all right. Hey,
what do we got next, Bobby?
Let's go. You want to go? Shit. All right.
You're ready to get out the boxing gloves.
It's like overtime all of a sudden. It's like, all right, one more week, guys. One more week until finally it's real. The start of preseason. Now, as we discussed, it's the first week. We don't expect Tua or Tyreek or Taron Armstead to get on that field, or maybe a Melvin Ingram. But there are some other guys that are going to be on that field that I'm excited about watching. Again, I've heard a lot about Braylon Sanders. I want to see how he does. I want to see the wide receiver unit minus Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I want to see how those guys all perform. I want to see if Teddy Bridgewater plays, see how he does. But obviously, Skylar Thompson, if we're going to talk quarterback, I want to see how he does against whether it's the third string, the second string, the real NFL defense in real time. Offensive line. I don't expect the starters to play, especially the big ones, Taron Armstead. But I want to see how the depth holds up. And then the defense. So, Hank, who are you most excited about watching in this first preseason game? What are you or to see in general?
If I was to name one person, it'd be Tyndall.
Okay, I like it.
If you're asking me to name just one, Tyndall. And I've already told you, I'm going to focus on the linebackers mainly. Because right now the defense is pretty stout. minus the linebackers, and we did bring in Melvin Ingram. So for me, I'm going to be watching the depth, like you said, for the O-line, see how they do, see if they get beat the hell on up. And I'm going to watch those linebackers. The linebacker depth is important to us too. Those are the two spots that I have concerns. The rest of it, I'm not really all that concerned, other than the fact that, like Evan said, the snaps are going crazy. So other than that, I'm on the linebackers and the line on the offensive line on what they're doing.
Easy E, that's right, Stevie. That's a good one. Evan, man, you were there yesterday, and you obviously saw what you liked and your things that concern you. So you're obviously going to be watching for that in the preseason. So what players are you looking at that you're hoping that you want to see something out of?
Before the players, I'm actually most interested, because we've only seen it in practice. I'd like to see the organization of the coaching staff. We've never seen Mike McDaniel lead an offense, whether it's on the preseason or not. I want to see how organized our offense is going to be, and how organized how the movement's going to be, and how the zone blocking is going to be going. That's what I'm most interested in. I want to see what the offensive packages are going to be, whether they're the backups or the starters. So I would actually be surprised. In the first game, I'm making this prediction now. The quarterback that takes the first snap in the first preseason game against Tampa Bay is going to be number 1. I think the pressure's on him. I think Tua is actually going to take the first series in the first preseason game.
Really?
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Oh.
I want to see. I think
Wow.
they want to see how he meshes in that offense. I don't think you're going to see Armstead or Hill, but I actually have a feeling, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it, because right now I think they realize they want to see how he meshes in that offense and how it moves in a live game. And you're playing against a Super Bowl contender, whether they're the backups or not.
So do you think one? You think one series?
One series.
Gotcha.
One series for Tua.
That's interesting.
I'm curious to see. I'm just curious to see. For me, it's not necessarily a player. Like I said, for me, it's more the offensive movement in the running game. I want to see how that offensive line moves against the defense and how they can surprise people. So whether it's a Kellen Deach, whether it's Connor Williams at center, whether it's Greg Little, whether it's I think Jackson needs to play in Eichenberg and those groups, I need to see how that offensive line moves. I want to see how that true athleticism goes against real defense that's not your own defense. That's what I'm most interested in. Not specifically players. I think we have the players to win. I want to see how the scheme works in a live game that actually has points towards it and not just a practice. That's what I'm most interested in seeing. Because my number one thing, and I used to tell you this, my cure for insomnia last season was the RPO offense with Brian Flores. God knows who he was having calling the plays, and you would know it'd be for first and 10, second and 9, third and 8, pressure from Tua, 3 and out. Like, it was very, and you knew he was going to throw only then. So, or a slant to, it was very predictable. I want to see the movement of the offensive line and how they're going to use their athleticism and how we're going to use our running game, because I think we're going to be a run first type of offense, and I want to see the movement. I want to see how quick they are.
Love it, man. You guys, everyone watching again, thank you. CBTV, Steve, Ralph, Hammer Time, everybody.
Thank you, Stevie TV. I agree with you.
So first off, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. You're watching Fins Talk today on the Fins Talk Sports Network, and follow us on Twitter.
Fins up, Hammer Time.
And so look, we got 2 more things here. All right, and I think this has been great, Hank. I think this has been great to have Evan on here. So first off, before we get to that last point.
Hey, I did mention that it would be fun to have Evan on, by the way.
You have plenty of time.
I just want to point that out.
Evan's been trying to get adopted by you for a while now, my friend.
Don't worry, Evan. I got you, buddy.
I'm mini Hank.
You're my kid.
Jr. All right. We're going to do some Dolphins trivia.
Right on.
All right. And then no one who's tuned in before, thank you, Hammer Time. Everyone who's tuned in before, you know what this is about. But everyone who hasn't, some Dolphins trivia. I've been doing this for the off season so far to make me obviously help make up for content, and it's been fun. So let the guys have a chance to try to answer, but please, if you know the answer, put it in the comments. Guys, don't cheat. All right, so let's go ahead and start.
I'm going to cheat today.
All right.
I want to be Tom Brady. I'm cheating.
Oh, you son of a... No, I'm just kidding. All right. Number 1, Evan and Hank. I think Evan's probably going to get this because he just has a mind of, he just remembers every freaking thing. So
because he's smart and I'm not. Just tell me
no.
Evan is like a sponge up here, and mine is just draining right out my mouth.
After the Dolphins made it to the Super Bowl, after the Dolphins made it to Super Bowl 8, after the 1973 season, what was the next season they saw Super Bowl action?
84. 84.
You're going 84?
Yes.
1982.
Oh, it was off.
2. With Woodley, right?
Super Bowl 17? I believe
I wasn't
that's what
born
that
yet.
is.
I wasn't born yet.
Hank was 30 years old then at that point.
You got me on my deathbed already.
Who'd we lose to that year? Who'd we lose to that year? The Bengals? Who'd we lose to that year?
Oh.
Wait, that was 1982. Wasn't that? No, 84 was.
It was San Francisco.
It was San Francisco. So 82. It doesn't have that on there, but it was 1982 Super Bowl 17. Okay. Oh, here it goes. Dolphins played in Super Bowl 8. Then a few years Dolphins played in Super Bowl 8, and then had a few years to regroup and rebuild until they made it to Super Bowl 17 at the end of 1982 season. So it doesn't have it on there. Bastards. What year? Number 2. What year did the Miami Dolphins begin as an expansion team in the American Football League?
66.
You got it, Hank. 66.
Yeah.
Look at Hank. Hank was like, "Oh, I remember that."
I
was
just,
in
by the way,
high
I
school, man.
just want a Dolphins
Hey,
shirt that says 66 on it.
That's when I
So
was
just-
born into being a Dolphins fans, people.
There you go. Oh,
I'm not
there you
going to
go.
miss that one.
I have that.
That's
That
my
was
real
66.
age, Bobby.
California, I was only 8. All right. Joseph Robbie was the founder of the Dolphins in 1966. They were part of the AFL-NFL merger in 1970. In the state of Florida, they are the oldest major professional sports franchise. Pretty cool. All right, number 3. The Dolphins made 20 playoff appearances from 1970 to 1999. How many of those appearances did they enter into the tournament as a wild card team? They have one answer here, but I'm going to give you some multiple choice on my own, okay? 6, 8, 5, 7.
7.
Hank has 5. Evan has 7. The answer is 7. 7.
Thank
The
you.
Miami.
Way to go,
Yeah.
Evan.
They entered the
I
I
tournament
told
7.
you, he's like a sponge.
I know.
That's no
He was just
fair.
waiting. He saw when you put 5. He was like, got him. All right. The Dolphins made the playoffs via the wild card route 7 times between 1970 and 1999. Those years were 70, 78, 90, 95, 97, 98, and 99. They were 4-3 in those games.
They have a winning
4.
record at something.
That's right. You know what?
California became a fan in 83, though, so don't forget that.
There you go. What happened to the multiple choice, Bobby? My brain is switching. This one, the one that I found here they didn't have multiple choice. So I'm going to try. I'll make it better for you guys. I'll just come up with something and fill those in for you. I understand. What was the first season that the Dolphins made it to the Super Bowl? 1967, 1971, 1977, 1972.
70. What was the first one? 60.
67.
No.
71. Was it not? It was. They were 71. 71.
1971. The 1971 season of the Dolphins ended with them playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Way to go,
Super Bowl
Evan.
6. The game was played on January 16th, 1972 in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Dolphins were defeated 24-3. Do we know what happened the next season?
Perfect season.
That's right. Now, number 5. The Dolphins finished the season with this. I'm assuming it's this year or this past season. Dolphins finished the season with a winning streak of how many games?
They won 7. They finished the season?
This season?
Yeah. They finished last season with a winning
10
streak
wins.
of how many games?
7.
No, but they will.
Was it 7 or 8?
They finished the
started-
season with
Go ahead.
no, because the winning streak, they lost one more game because they finished 9-8, so it was like a winning streak of like 1. Because
7.
it was a winning streak of 1 because they went 1-7, and then they were
Dolphins
8.
finished the season with a
With
6-game win streak after starting the season 3-7.
With an 8 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was
So-
7 or 8. I wasn't sure.
No, they were 1-7, and they went 7-7, and then they lost, and then they finished 9-8.
What's up, Longfeather? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Good vibes for you as well.
Yeah, it was
we
6-7.
got
Yeah, they got back to
to,
500.
All right. I mean, that's eating at you, huh? All right. When Don Shula retired at the end of the 1995 season, he left as the Dolphins' winningest all-time coach. Which one of the following coaches was the second winningest coach in Dolphins history when he left at the end of the 2004 season? You want names, or do you think you could?
Give us a multiple guess.
Okay. Nick Saban, Brian Flores, Jimmy Johnson, Dave Wannstedt.
Dave Wannstedt.
Surprisingly, Dave. That was
I
the
had a
coach
feeling
of my
it was
youth.
him, but
High
was the coach
five,
of my youth.
Evan.
Yeah. Dave Wannstedt. Surprisingly, Dave Wannstedt ended his Dolphins tenure as the team's second winningest coach when he left to head up his alma mater, the University of Pittsburgh, midway through the 2004 season. Former defensive coordinator Jim Bates took over as the interim coach for the final 7 games. Of course, that was the year that they hired Saban after that. Wannstedt's 4.5-year record was 43 wins, 32 losses, 1 tie. 3-time Super Bowl winning coach Jimmy Johnson's record was only 38, 31-0 over the full 4 seasons that he coached a team. So there's 3 more here. From 1966 to 1986, where did the Dolphins call home?
Miami Gardens.
The Orange Bowl.
The
Orange Bowl, yes.
The Dolphins played at the Orange Bowl until they moved to Dolphin Stadium in '97. Who was the first? Now, Hank might get this maybe. Who was, or maybe Evan, since he has a sponge. Who was the first draft choice of the Miami Dolphins back in '66?
You kidding, right? Kuchenberg?
Cooch. What?
I'll take a random guess. Zonka? I have no idea. I was too young. I wasn't born.
No idea, bro.
Zonka?
Jim, I was going to do the multiple choice and put Zonka in there, but I was like, oh, they probably figured it out. But it's Jim Grabowski.
Yeah.
He was a running back from Illinois. He signed the NFL.
And he wound up being a Grabowski because he didn't do anything.
He never played for the Dolphins. That's right. Very good, Hank. Hank got that one. Oh, here's a good one. What pro team drafted Dolphins? I guess. Let's see. What pro team drafted Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino first? Was it the New York Yankees, Kansas City Royals, the Chicago Bulls, or the Minnesota Vikings?
The Royals.
Correct. It was the Kansas City Royals. He was also drafted by the Generals, first player ever selected by the USFL.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
That's what I was going to say too, Evan.
I'll give you an alternate question. I'm going to give you an alternate question. Before Brady was drafted, because we were talking about Brady before the Brady was drafted by the New England Patriots, who was he drafted for before? You know what team?
That was.
I'll give you a hint.
The Jets.
No, different sport.
Oh, baseball? Was it baseball?
Sport. Baseball.
Did you know what position he played in college at Michigan? He was a catcher.
Shortstop?
He was a catcher, and he was drafted, and he almost, because he wouldn't have worked out with the Patriots, he was going to be the starting catcher for the Montreal Expos.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know
There's a picture of him wearing an Expos uniform. He was drafted. Very small world.
All right. Let's go ahead with the final one here. And this one is easy enough. What were the last names of the Marx brothers? I think this is easy enough.
Clayton and Duper.
That's right.
That's
go
right.
ahead and put this.
My favorite tandem ever for the Miami Dolphins was Clayton.
Well,
and
not
Duper.
this year, by the way. You think there were planes flying in the air, but no, the missiles were on the field last night. You've never, honestly, to see them live in person, to see Waddle and Hill crisscross, I've never seen speed like that. Oh my God!
Do you think, Evan, since you're saying that, because do you think Waddle and Hill will be better than Clayton and Duper for Miami?
Yes. Yes. If they come together, for sure.
They are more talented. They are more talented and a lot more physical than those two.
Of course.
Duper was burning people up all the time.
No, you've never seen, honestly. We've seen it on TV. You've never, Hill, I swear to God, I've never seen a guy get to 0 to 60 that fast. I've never seen it. Oh,
well, that's
my God.
exciting. Hey, look, we're here about an hour. This has been exciting. This has been a great show. TD Fins Talk is joining us. Thank you, sir. Since we can't hit moving targets anymore, we have our quarterbacks throwing in stationary.
I just told you about that. Yeah, they were having fun hyping each other up.
But guys, you know, it's gonna be interesting though, especially with like you bring up Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Can they have a bigger impact for the Dolphins than Mark Clayton and Duper? I guess that's how I should have asked that question. Do you think they will?
This year they will, because they're going to be the types of players that allow other people to succeed. Duper and Clayton were the targets for Marino. These are not necessarily the targets for Tua. Gesicki will probably be, the running backs will be, Ingold will be, Wilson will be. There's more depth around them. For Marino, he had Duper and Clayton. Those were his two weapons. Here, Tua has armory of weapons, and he's going to utilize them, and Hill and Waddle are going to be the distraction pieces for everyone else to succeed as well.
And he does have an offensive line that's still the biggest question mark, a center who's throwing the ball over his head. So let's all pray for health.
Hope they bring that on down.
2 fins for prayer.
That's right. Shalom. All right. So, hey, look, Fins Talk Sports Network is growing. We started with Fins Talk today, and it's starting to grow here. We got overtime. We had the Goon Squad. We started now with Bottoms Up, Fins Up on Thursdays, and then an all-around NFL show, which was the Huddle Up and Wait with two veterans, and Brett Lagasse, who's Air Force, and then Dave Stager, who's Army. They started their show on Thursday night.
Coast Guard.
Yes, sir, you
Don't
are.
Don't forget Coast Guard.
I don't. So we see Finstock Network has veterans, man. We support the vets. No, it's been a great growth as we're going, but we have another show that's also coming around here for Dolphin fans. If you might think that when some people we're almost done, I promise. I just had my kid pop up too. We have I'm gonna laugh because it just happened with me. I muted him up. I'm like, get in the house. But anyway, we have another show. So there's a lot of fans who think when people could be, I consider realistic, may consider us being negative. What's up, Rashad?
Yes, you are.
Oh, stop it. So anyway, I thought, you know, what would be a good idea is to get two of the most homer guys I know as Dolphin fans together and to do a show on my network. Two dear friends of mine who I'm so happy are part of my team. You got these two guys right here. If you like what they said and you made you feel happy and jittery as a Dolphin fan, you're so excited because it's all positive vibes. You're going to be even more happy with our new show that's going to come to the network with Mr. Fish Tank Hank and Evan. Let me put up the graphic here to show you what I'm talking about. And Evan, I want you to tell the guys what this show is going to be about.
Okay. For me, I have to talk more with Fish Tank as well, but the focus is really going to be talking about all the positive things about what the Dolphins are doing, and then also looking at the things they aren't doing great and how we can turn them into a positive. So one thing I want to look at as well, and I'm going to talk to Hank about it, is also trying to bring in people who are not so high on the Dolphins, and within about half an hour to 45 minutes, by the time we're done with them, they will be Dolphins bandwagon fans. We're willing to welcome anyone onto this bus.
Let me just say, yes, the show is called The Fins Bandwagon. Hop on the bandwagon with Evan Poser and Fish Tank Hank. So you're telling me, let me go ahead and put this back up. Excuse me. So you're saying if someone like the phenomenal friend of the show, TD Finstock, Brett Lagasse, friend of the show. TD has been on Overtime. Great. Obviously one of the best commentators for Dolphins. He has a big podcast, TD Finstock. If you haven't yet, go there and like and subscribe. But if you got somebody like TD on your show, you're telling me you can convince him to be a Tua believer?
Yeah.
Not a Tua believer. I believe a Dolphins believer. Because I think if you're a Dolphins believer, you can be a Tua believer.
Not Tua.
Not Tua. We're Dolphin bandwagon fans. And because we're Dolphin bandwagon fans, we're Tua fans. And I told you can go to the recordings.
We're a fan of all the players, Bobby, not just some of them.
I believe in, like, we might do a focus on Chris Greer. We might do a focus on Waddle. Also, like, for example, I have a great friend who does some stuff where He's a Bucs fan. Maybe on the Tuesday after the preseason game, we'd bring him on and give him his perspective. We just want to focus on the positives of Dolphin fans and get other people to share their thoughts, because I have a lot of people who are not Dolphin fans, who are not Tua believers, not Dolphin believers, and we want to get them on the bandwagon and focus on the fact that this team has the potential for great things moving forward.
So,
We
and that
got
will
you,
be
Orlando. We got you.
Orlando, Marvin, thank you for tuning in.
Overseas. Hang
Appreciate
in
you.
there,
Thanks.
buddy. If you're in the military, hang in there.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Everyone who's tuned in right now, I'm very excited for this show because, first off, like I said, I mean it too. I mean, you know, we've never met in person. A lot of the people, except for maybe obviously my brother who's been on Goon Squad, Alex, who I grew up with. He's on the Goon Squad. He's actually the new host for Goon Squad, Evan. I'm thinking just going to be the producer and then for the other two shows.
Well, Alex is coming on. Alex was great on Wednesday. Remember how I jumped on? You guys have to talk.
He'll be on. He'll actually be on.
Show.
Yeah, he'll be on overtime this Monday with Neil because he is like you guys when it comes to Tua, and he always sees the positive in everything, even with the Heat. So anyway, I'm not going there. But anyway, I'm just excited about where this is going, guys. And everyone tuning in again. Thanks you for watching and I just tell you about this show. It's gonna be so fun because obviously Hank is awesome. We do Fins Talk today together, but I think he's gonna be very happy to do. Bandwagon.
There you go.
We got our fans. We got our stuff. I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah.
That's what we want, Evan.
I'm ready.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And then Evan, I've been wanting to get on as a co-host or host, so I'm happy to get him on board the network. And it's just going to get better from here. We're doing a lot of cool things for the network. I've been working hard trying to get some things. So Fins Bandwagon, look out for the premiere date. If you're a Homer fan, by that I mean overexcited. You know, you just want positive. These are the guys right here, and they're great dudes. Always happy, always smiling, always having fun. But again, if you haven't hit that like,
let me say to Hammer Time real quick. You're welcome, Hammer Time. I'm more than happy to have served.
Very cool. And that's what we love too. We got Hank, Brett Lagasse, Dave Stager, vets on the network. I'm very excited about that. I'm so thankful for everybody for tuning in and watching all our shows. Orlando, please hit that like and subscribe button, brother. We got a lot of great content on the channel. And everyone, if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. But overall, thank you, California, Orlando, PD, Ralph, Tammy from Miami, everyone who's tuning in. Thank you, Steve. Until next time, thank you, Evan. Always Fish Tank Hank. We will see you all next Saturday for another episode of Fins Talk Today and a preview of our first football game. It's going to be great. So till then, we'll see you all. Fins up, everybody.
Fins up.